Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, we rank ready-to-wear dress shirt brands from A all the way down to F. While there are certainly advantages to bespoke, MTM, or custom shirts, the majority of men today wear ready-to-wear shirts. Many will wear them their whole lives, and frankly, I still have more ready-to-wear shirts than custom shirts in my closet. Obviously, there are probably over 1,000 ready-to-wear shirt brands, most of which I don't know. In this video, we focus on shirt brands that are of interest to a classic men's style enthusiast. For the grading, we look at the quality, but then also consider how the price impacts that rating. We'll grade on the following scale. A means I'd sell the shirt off my back for this. B means definitely one of the better dress shirts. C means an exceptionally average dress shirt. D means still better than just a t-shirt. F means please take this shirt off my back. Now, as always, this video is not sponsored. This is based on our team's experience in wearing these shirts, and we've worn hundreds of them over the course of years. You may have different experiences, or you may prefer one shirt over another because it fits you really well. And this is really not a grading of the fit, because different people need different things. We'll mention things as we think they're important, but ultimately you have to make your own decision. This is just supposed to help you, guide you in the right direction. Let's start with Ascot Chang. Price between $189 and $320. They have lots of features like very fine stitch density. They have very nice collars, but frankly, nobody on our team has had any experience with them, so we don't rank them for now. Hopefully that'll change in the future. Battistoni shirts from Rome are really known for their custom shirts. They also have a range of bespoke shirts, which are very expensive, starting at $450, going up to $600-700. Unlike other Italian shirts like Borelli, for example, there's really not much handwork. They have some interesting details, like if you look at their collar, it's really kind of thick and solid, so it always lays down nicely, and the edge is really raised. The buttonholes are machine-made nicely, but the buttons don't have a long enough shank, so you get some rippling around the buttonholes. Battistoni knows how to make a shirt, so I'd say quality is a B, but with their price, we move to D to F level. Next up, Borelli, which is an Italian shirt brand, which is quite expensive, ranging in price from about 300 and 330 euros, which is about the same as dollars these days. We rank them B to C. If you just look at the quality, I'd rank them more a B, B+, but with the price, that's where they land. They definitely have a more Neapolitan cut. You see more handwork details. They have a range of colors and patterns, and because they're more Neapolitan inspired, you also have that color and feel influence. They often have regular sales, and for me as a person with long arms, I often find that ready-to-wear stuff is too short for me. Another Italian shirt brand is Brioni. Their shirts retail anywhere from $600 to $2,000. Obviously, you can get these shirts on sale new on eBay and other places. Having looked at them, I have to say they're a decent shirt. I'd grade them a B, maybe B-, but considering the price in my book, they're a solid F. Yes, they have great fabrics. They have Giza 45 cotton, but in my book, no ready-to-wear shirt is worth their prices. Brook Taverner costs around 45 British pounds, which is close to $55 US or euros these days. Quality ranges between C and D. Considering a low price, they're definitely more of a C. It's really nothing special. It's kind of a middle-of-the-road shirt that most men will be perfectly happy with. They're very comparable to Charles Tyrwhitt. They have these bulk discounts, buy 4 shirts for £120. They have a relatively large range at that price segment, so if that's what you can afford right now, it's worth a look. If you can upgrade and spend a little more, probably you get a better shirt. Brooks Brothers range in price from around $88 to $198. The unanimous verdict in our team was that they're more of a C shirt, with some people arguing it's more of a C+, other more of a solid C. Brooks Brothers definitely has a variety of offerings, more casual shirts, dress shirts, and evening shirts. They also come typically in a wide range of sleeve lengths, which is nice if you can't go the custom route. These days they rely more and more heavily on more synthetic coatings, so they're not quite what they used to be. Also, they run many sales and promotions, so you should get a relatively good value then. If you're not sure where to start, their Oxford cloth button down lasts quite long. Sometimes you can get them on a discount if you buy multiples of them. The made in the US ones are typically their most expensive ones. Their button down color is definitely the most attractive one out there. It's just very classic. Of course, Brooks Brothers offers a lot of stuff, so if you're curious what to buy from them and maybe what to skip, check out this video. Brunello Cucinelli shirts range from about $495 to almost $1,200. They definitely have a slightly more fashion-forward, casual style, and while the shirt looks perfectly decent, it is absolutely not worth the price. Quality is in the B to C range. With the price, it's an F. Yes, they treat their workers well, they have a philosophy, they have a vision, they claim to use sustainable materials, but ultimately, it doesn't justify that price tag. At the end of the day, if they can find a customer base, that's awesome. It's just not us. Next up is Bud Shirt Makers from England. And while you can find a few shirts from them at like the £120 range, most of them are 200, 255, up to like 345, which is quite a bit for a dress shirt. If you convert it, gets into the $4 or euro range at the top. These are very traditional English shirts. If that's what you're after, that's what you get. What do I mean by that? Solid, fine workmanship. Nothing extraordinary in terms of patterns and colors, and not a huge range of collar and cuff styles. Now, they do have day shirts in 3 fits, classic, tailored, and slim, and they're really renowned for their evening shirts. They use quality materials, and overall, I'd rate their quality as a B. If you consider the price in my book, they're more of a B to C company. Calvin Klein shirts retail between $79 and $89, and Calvin Klein is one of those brands that offers a lot of licensing, so what you get is not necessarily consistent. They're extremely slim shirts, extremely large fitting shirts, so definitely always try before you buy. That being said, Calvin Klein is typically something you find at a Macy's or a Men's Warehouse. Nathan worked at Men's Warehouse, and he rates Calvin Klein shirts a solid F. Preston once needed a black shirt for concert black, and he got one from there and it was okay. He rates it more of a D. Overall, we believe you can do better than Calvin Klein. Next up are Cesare Attolini shirts, which retail around $695 to $750. Are they 9 times as good as a Calvin Klein shirt? Frankly, you can't really compare the two. Quality level, like many Italian shirts, they have more handwork in them, and they're nice. They're B, B+, can't complain about that. They have stuff like handmade buttonholes, they use high quality cottons, they have interesting collar shapes. So overall, I consider them more highly than Brunello Cucinelli or Brioni, but in my book, it's still overpriced. So we rank them as C, even though the quality by itself is more like a B+. Charles Thierry shirts rank between a C+ and a D on our team. Usually priced at $99 to $150. Really the unique selling point of this brand is that you get huge sales when you buy multiples at certain times of the year. They have a very solid choice when it comes to dress shirts in terms of patterns, collars, details, sleeve lengths. Overall, still a British shirt company, but a little more adventurous than, let's say, Bud Shirt Makers. Both Preston and Jack on our team give it a C. Nathan rakes it more of a D+. Preston, on the other hand, probably built his wardrobe around his Charles Thierry shirts, and you can see more about his take on the brand in this in-depth video. Chavet dress shirts from Paris at the Place Vendôme are certainly the place where rents aren't cheap. They have a large custom department where you can get all sorts of shirts. They have a huge range of fabrics, but for ready to wear, I think you don't get the handwork that you see in Italian shirts, yet you still pay a very high price of at least $600. For that, you get a great level of workmanship, nice collar, nice interlinings, unusual fabrics, but it's still a ready-to-wear shirt. Overall, for quality, I'd rate them a B+. considering their price, I'd rate them more a C to D. Next up are Drakes. They range from about $190 to $250 depending on the exchange rate. Jack really likes their Oxford cloth button-down shirts as well as their spread collar barrel cuff shirts. Nathan also loves their Oxford cloth button-down ones. He likes the hand and prefers them over the Brooks Brothers. These shirts are made in Somerset in England and not in the Far East, so a higher price is more justified. They feature nice pattern matching and solid construction, and sometimes you can find them on sale, but they're a somewhat of a hot commodity, so it's not that easy. Overall, their shirts are more on the casual side. Our team ranks them a solid B. They'd love them even more if they were less expensive. Another British brand is Edward Sexton, who himself is a tailoring legend. His shirts also have a very unique style. In price, they range between $175 and about $350. If you want a classic and vintage feel without looking costumey, take a look at Edward Sexton. He has very large spear point inspired collars. He has a tab collar. He has a pinhole collar and just a more unique style than what you typically find in ready-to-wear shirts. It's also quite tall, so if that's something that you like, this brand is for you. Overall, you get 6 collar types in 3 fits, mostly cotton, but also some linen and silk options. We rated a solid B for quality, considering the price we're more in the C range. Emanuel Berg is a German company that is pretty active in Europe. They have a made-to-measure section, but also a larger ready-to-wear section. They're not for sale in the US and Canada at this point. Priced, they're typically between €110 and €200. They're definitely not shy of color and pattern, have some interesting collar styles. It's a well-made shirt, somewhere in the B-, maybe B to C range. The British brand Emmet retails between $180 and $215. This company is much better at casual shirts than standard dress shirts. So if you're more into a relaxed, tailored look, that brand might be interesting for you. They don't have a large physical retail presence, and their website is a bit difficult to navigate, so keep that in mind. Overall, rank them a B to C. Eton shirts typically range between $235 and $295. Sometimes they may be even a little higher. I'd say quality-wise, they're definitely in the B- range. Their fabrics are really nice, or B, maybe B+, but their price is quite high, so they're more like C- They offer a wide range of shirts. They have lots of patterns. Their fabrics all have a nice hand. It's the best wrinkle-free shirt on the market. It's the best feel. It's not so heavily chemically treated. And I think they developed that fabric in collaboration with Alumo. I really like their standard sizes in their contemporary fit because they have long arms. I typically go with a 15.5, 36, or a 16-36, which is about a 41 European size, but they fit rather long. With most brands, I can't get that. Also, their interlinings are very nice. They're not cheap. They don't blister. They stand the test of time. They're also longer in the body, in the torso, which is important for me because I have a long torso. I think they're priced so high because they target haberdasheries and they like a big margin. If you can find them at a big discount, I think it's a decent shirt. If you want a full-fledged review on Eton shirts, check out this video here. Everline shirts are priced between like $65 and $90. We'd rank them between a C- and a D+. The sizing is very slim, so if you go with them, definitely size up. The garments also shrink quite a bit, so keep that in mind. They definitely have an emphasis on eco-friendly production and minimalist style and kind of back to basics attitude. Very plain, somewhat boxy cuts, mainly available in cotton. Now, Finamore shirts, they range between €115 to €330 depending on the fabric. I'd rank them a B+ because they have some nice handmade details, a good cut, good interlinings, interesting fabric, but they do it at a price point that is not completely out there. If it was just a quality, I'd probably place them somewhere in the A to B range. With the price, they're more in the B range segment. They have a nice amount of handwork, definitely more than Eton, but compare with Borelli and Attolini. Overall, they have 7 hand-sewn sections. sometimes they can be a bit short in the sleeve, so definitely make sure get the sleeve length before you order if that's a concern for you. Gitman Bros is a nice option if you're looking for a made in the US shirt. Price between $155 for most of their shirts and $215 for their evening shirts. They have a classic Oxford cloth button down range. Personally, I think I prefer the Mercer Sons, which is also made in the US, over Gitman Bros. Why? Well, the Gitman Bros collar doesn't have enough of an S-curve. It looks more like the classic Brooks Brothers version than like the modern Drakes, for example. They have a decent evening shirt collection, so if you're looking for something in that department, definitely check out Gitman. In my book, they're probably a C+, maybe a little more if you consider the price and that they're made in the USA. They're probably more in the B to C, maybe B- category. Hackett shirts are priced between £85 and £140. Even though Jeremy Hackett has his quintessential English style, the Hackett brand today is owned by a Spanish conglomerate. Older Hackett shirts have held up nicely in recent years. They seem to be going a bit more fashion forward. They're about on par with Charles Tyrwhitt, but a little more expensive. They have an emphasis on sustainably harvested materials and also more performance fabrics in the lineup, which makes them more fashion forward and less classic. If the shirts were like Jeremy Hackett style, they'd be awesome, but they're not. Hawes Curtis shirts range in price between $95 and $145. Everyone on our team has tried them, and they're pretty much kind of a C brand, maybe C-. The funny thing about Hawes Curtis is, if you look at their patterns, they look all a bit more casual, but the shirt itself feels like a classic dress shirt, right? Like a stiffer interlining, and they apply that same stiffer interlining to their more casual fabrics, which in an ideal world, I want a softer interlining with a casual shirt and a stiffer one with a more formal dress shirt. Hawes Curtis doesn't get that right in our opinion. They do have 3 collar types, 7 fits, and quite a bit of an option in terms of colors. They have a clear desire to cater to a wide variety of men, so it's a bit like jack of all trades, master of none. Hawkins & Shepherd is an interesting shirt brand. Their stuff ranges between 80 and 100 pounds. Unfortunately, we couldn't get their shirts in time to test them before this video, but we'll do so in the future. They're a London-based company and they have an exceedingly wide range of options. Nice colors, patterns, and style for day and evening. They also have a really wide selection of pinhole collars, so if that's something you're looking for a collar bar, definitely have a look at their stuff. They also have tab collars, but since we really haven't tried them ourselves, we can't rank them. Hugo Boss, or Hugo Boss, as Americans might say it, ranges between about $150 to $300. Frankly, I rate them a soft F because they're pricey and not good at all. They're very fashion forward, and it's not something I'd ever spend my own money on. I said as a German kid who grew up in the same state as where Hugo Boss is originally from, they definitely focus on like trim, trendy cuts, have a range of colors. If you like that, go for it. I think you can find much better value elsewhere. IGN Joseph stands for Ignatius Joseph, who's originally from Sri Lanka but now resides in Germany. His shirts used to be made in Switzerland at a very high level. Now they're made in Italy. The shirts typically have a nice styling. He uses very cool fabrics in nice colors. In fact, my very first good dress shirt came from Ignatius Joseph, and I bought it, I think, in 2003 in Munich. And I still have it to this day, even though it has signs of wear. I think it's a particularly nice shirt. He always had these unfused collars, which is something you find more and more now from other brands, especially for casual shirts. It was always a hallmark of a shirt that he had very early on when no other ready-to-wear brand was doing it. They're hard to find online, typically more of a haberdashery brand, priced around $225. I would say it's a B shirt. There's not much handwork in there. Buttons are not solid mother of pearl, but it's a modern cut shirt, not for your grandpa. J. Crew shirts run between like $69 and $100. The materials always feel thin, the cuts are thin, so overall it's more of a D candidate. Not expensive, but also not great. J-Press shirts come in at around $135, so they're a little less expensive than Drake's, for example. Probably a bit better than Brooks Brothers, so somewhere in like the B-, B to C range. The classic American shirts, still made in the US, and at that price, actually really fairly priced. They have a typical Oxford cloth, broadcloth, typical end-on-end and so forth, but just comes in two fits, classic and trim. Kamakura shirts are between $80 and $220. They have nice fits and good color options, but they're often out of stock. Nathan also really likes their polo shirts. He ranks them at like a B. They offer 4 fits, unique color options and patterns. They have an impressive number of cottons, and they have a focus on high quality, meaning their stitching is typically like 22 stitches per inch, which is quite high. Now, Ketone shirts are around $630 to $1,860. Now, Ketone also has an emphasis on handmade shirts made in Italy. Their stuff is always expensive. Their fabrics are always really nice and soft for their suit jackets as well as for their shirts. For shirts, they definitely have more of a smaller range, and they're just priced to be in line with their jackets. I think overall, this is like a B quality shirt, but with a price, again, we're at an F level. I just wouldn't pay that. If you can pick them on a discount, you're getting a good shirt. They probably have more of a strong focus on like the casual end. LL Bean shirts are really cheap. They're between $30 and $65. They're kind of workhorse shirts that are not special in any sartorial sense, but in terms of longevity to price, they get an A. Are the fabrics anything decent? No, they're not. But overall, I'd say it's probably a C, C- kind of shirt. Personally, I wouldn't buy any of their dress shirts. Maybe I'd try some of their flannels. Ledbury shirts are typically between $100 and $200. They use the same nice Albini fabrics and other stuff that other made-to-measure shirt makers use. There's not really anything special about them per se. I'd rank them in between like a B- and a C. Luciano Barbera shirts around $200 to $400. They are made in Italy. They have a nice interlining, interesting patterns on the shirts, but no real handwork, except maybe on the shoulder where you can see that they folded the sleeve nicely in there to get a little more room. Considering their price, I'd rank them as C. Mercer Sons is priced around $185. They make every single shirt to order. You can mix, let's say, a size 16 collar with a size 15.5 body. So it's made for you. It's really focused on Oxford cloth button down. They have a large range of different colors and stripes and patterns. So if you're looking for that kind of a shirt, I think they're very specialized in it. It's a soft collar, it's a soft cuff. You just get plastic buttons, but it's a shirt with a nice fabric that ages well. Overall, I would rank them a B to C for the rarity factor and made in the US. I don't think the price is too high. Olymp is a German department store brand ranging in price around 60 to 100 euros, or the same in dollars. Frankly, when I grew up as a teenager, I had a few Olymp shirts, sometimes with non-iron coating. They're very plasticky. The style is not very refined. So today, I would definitely not buy Olymp shirts. Ranking D to F. Ozwald Boateng shirts go between £275 and £300, which is quite pricey, but he was always well known for bold colors. The quality is nice, they're a very unique collar, but it almost seems like you have to buy into the entire look for it to work well in an outfit. They're kind of sleek, modern, have these bold jewel tones, which is something that you have to like. Personally, I prefer more of the pastel tones. They offer both day and evening shirts and use Swiss cottons, so you get a good product at a high price. Overall, in my book, they're more of a D. If you like the bolder style, they're probably more in the C range. Palsilieri shirts retail between $230 and $420. A friend of mine always called Palsilieri the clothing choice of pimps, so I personally, and no one on our team has any experience with it, so no ranking. Paul Frederick is an interesting brand. It used to be really cheap shirts. I remember when I went to law school, a professor here would recommend them to law students, get your formal work uniform shirt at a very low price, and they even added your monogram on the shirt. I think now they've changed a bit. They increased their retail pricing and they changed their offering a bit. I think in general it's too flashy for a classic taste. Every once in a while you see something interesting like a traditional vintage spear collar inspired style. I got some Winchester shirts, for example, with an orange stripe and a yellow stripe, which is not something you typically find ready to wear. Overall, I'd say grade C to D. Peter Manning makes stuff for short men. No one on our team here is short so far, so we have no experience. Paul Smith shirts are priced between $250 and $300. I actually saw the factory once in Portugal where the shirts are made, and they're made there at a very high standard. Good inner linings, great pattern matching. So you get a solid shirt with solid fabrics. Paul Smith, of course, is a bit more fashion forward. So if you like that, you pay a little extra for that. They have a tailored fit. Overall, I rate them B to C because they're on the higher end. Quality-wise, it's definitely a B shirt. Proper Cloth ranges in price between $95 and $345. They're mainly a made-to-measure company, and they still make every shirt one by one. So they offer for you to buy ready-to-wear sizes, so you can get your collar size and your sleeve length and whatever else, and then they just make the shirt for you, so it takes as long as a made-to-measure shirt. So I would always recommend you actually get all your measurements. You probably get a better fitting shirt than you just go with their ready-to-wear brands. I've only ever had their made-to-measure offering, so it's hard to rank their ready-to-wear offering. For a made-to-measure, I would rank them in the B, maybe B- range. They're pretty good value for what you get. Made in Asia. They have excellent customer service for their cufflinks. I find their cufflink holes too small, so only about half of my cufflinks actually work with the shirt. Something to keep in mind when you get a French cuff. Ralph Lauren, interesting brand. Ralph Lauren shirts range from about $60 to about $700 for a purple label. They have those Oxford cloth button-down shirts with a pony. Nathan says he bought a bunch at the outlet and they all sucked. I've had their purple label shirts. They're made in Italy. They have unusual fabrics, typical bold fabrics. They are typically in a 16 size and a 35 length, even though they don't sell the sleeve lengths separately. Just have to figure out what works and what doesn't work for you. They used to have this Keaton collar, which was this extreme cutaway, which they often made in a Winchester shirt. They still sell this. I know there are other brands that offer it too, but when I think of Ralph Lauren purple label shirts, that's what I associate with. Workmanship is kind of a B-, I'd say. B, styling can make it or break it, but at the price level, I'd never buy it new. You can find them discounted on eBay and many other places, so if you find something, go for it. A new retail price Ralph Lauren is always overpriced. Overall, I'd say shirts are not a strong suit of Ralph Lauren, and if you want to know what we would buy from them, check out this video. Reiss shirts or Reiss shirts are between $110 and about $200. They're very slim, very tight shirts. Sometimes they have nice cottons, but it's definitely more of a mass manufactured shirt. They're sized in extra small through extra large, so that typically tells you to be cautious. Overall, it's probably a C to D shirt if you find something that fits you. Seitensticker is another German brand, more like at that Olymp level. They're maybe a little more expensive at $70. 20 years ago, their non-iron fabrics were awful. I never tried them again, so I don't know exactly where they're at. Probably in the D range, I would guess. Spier Mackay shirts are $55 to about $68. Now, first and foremost, Spier Mackay is a value-driven brand, and what you get in terms of detail and fabric for the money is pretty good. The problem with them is fit. It's rather slim, so unless you have slim arms, I wouldn't necessarily recommend them to you. I'd also stick with their button-down collars, because everything that is lined has this kind of collar curl, which doesn't look nice. With an extensive, is it worth it for their shirts? So check it out to see what we recommend and what we don't recommend. In any case, their customer service is terrible. So overall, I give the shirt itself maybe a B, maybe B- grade, but customer service is solid F. Stenströms are $295. They're another Swedish brand like Eton. They're more well-known in Sweden. Eton is more well-known outside of Sweden. I would say they're very similar to Eton and maybe Emanuel Berg. I've only seen them in person. I've never really worn them, so I won't give them a ranking. Suit supply shirts range between $100 and $140. Both Jack and Nathan really liked their shirt. They were positively surprised by the attention to detail and their fabrics, as well as the range of casual to dress shirt ranges. Overall, though, it's still a younger man's shirt. They really like cutaway collars. They have no longer point collars, and price-wise, they're probably at the top end of where they should be. Overall, they run slim, just like their jackets, so definitely size up. Thomas Pink is a shirt brand that is known for their pink gusset in their shirts. They range in price between like £75 and £225. Over the years, they've definitely undergone a transition. Their old stuff was rather good in quality. Their new stuff, under new ownership, it's a bit hard to tell because we haven't tested anything anymore. They offer 5 fits, primarily cutaway collars, and I think they used to be more of a B2C. Hard to tell where they are now. TM Lewin is about 45 to 60 pounds, so quite a bit less expensive than Thomas Pink. These shirts are quite fashion forward these days with small collars and very slim fits. They have a massive selection of shirts with 4 fits and 4 collar types. That's it. Similar to Charles Tilbury, they have numerous sales and buy in bulk offers, so that's what they're focusing on. Today we'd rank it at D. Tom Ford shirts cost between $5.95 and over $1,000. I mean, they're made in Switzerland, which is a high GDP country. If you look at their evening shirts, they actually have a tab to button in. So they have nice detailing. Tom Ford has a nice taste level. The collars are typically big. I've seen them in person. I've just never worn one or bought one because they're just so expensive. They also don't really justify it with nice handwork or anything. You just buy the brand and the name. So no ranking from us. Turnbull Asser, a famous British shirt maker with royal warrants and prices to boot. About $350 all the way up to $1,000 is a lot for a shirt. They're still handmade in Gloucester, England. They have a typical flat English mother of pearl buttons, but it's a mainly machine-sewn shirt, unlike the Italian shirts. They have traditional English collars with nice interlinings, and Jack really likes their look. The sleeves are also quite long, but all their fabrics seem to be very prone to wrinkling and hard to iron. Overall, I think they're better at traditional formal shirts than casual shirts. Personally, I never understood their love of the 3-button barrel cuff, but that's their thing. At the end of the day, I would rate them a B as quality, but overall D because they're just overpriced and a pain to iron. You have to give it to them. They do get creative sometimes and have unusual fabrics and make cool stuff. But at that price point, you can get that done bespoke for much less. Uniqlo shirts are just about $40, and I wouldn't call them a true dress shirt. They're more of a fast fashion company, and while some of their polo shirts and stuff can be quite good, especially for the price, I wouldn't quite recommend these shirts if you're in the market for dress shirts. Again, their sizing comes in extra small to extra large. When you see that, you always know that you have to compromise. That being said, at this price point, if you compare it to other brands, I think Uniqlo is better than others, but overall, I would still not recommend them. I think their dress shirts are more in the D territory. An American Classic Van Heusen shirts are between $45 and $70. If you go through the old apparel arts magazines, I think the quality you had at the time was very different from what it is today. Typically, they have very trim or billowy cuts, the fabrics don't feel nice, and the collars are nothing special either. Often they come in cotton blended with polyester, and there's something you'd find at Kohl's. Maybe you even need a simple white shirt, it might do the job, but otherwise, it's in a D to F territory. Zegna shirts range in price from $445 to $890. We have no experience with it because of the high price point. Even if it was a perfect shirt in terms of quality, I probably wouldn't get it any better than CRD just because of the price. Last but not least, we have 100 Hands, which is priced between $290 and about $350. Now, first of all, they have 2 lines. They have the gold lines, which contains about 34 hours of handwork, and then they have the black line, which is around 16 hours of handwork. Both shirts have more handwork than pretty much any other shirt we covered here on this list. The gold line is truly bonkers. I have 2 of their shirts. I've had them for years. Every single stitch there is handmade. It's unbelievable. Is it necessarily better? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the shirt has held up. I machine wash it, and both of them are just fine. The selection of fabrics on there is rather limited, but what they offer is of good quality. Also, their buttonholes for cufflinks and their French cuff are rather small, so if you have bigger cufflinks, that might be an issue. Otherwise, in terms of workmanship and quality, I'd say the shirt is an A. Considering the price, we're in like the A to B range, but considerably less expensive than other brands, and you get a much higher level of workmanship there. All right, do you agree or disagree with our ranking? Please share your brand's comments and rankings in the comments below, and let us know if we should do other ranking videos about other stuff. Thank you. In today's outfit, I'm wearing a combination of two broken up suits. The pants are from a navy suit, and it's just a navy blue hopsack. The top and the waistcoat are made in a nice flannel fabric. It's small houndstooth and chocolate brown and off-white. The pants are part of a suit of a Fort Belvedere prototype. The jacket and the vest are from my tailor. My shirt is light blue with a pin collar from Siniscalchi in Milan. My cufflinks are blue, malachite, and gold from Fort Belvedere. So is my light blue linen pocket square and my tie. The collar bar is gold, and you can also find it in our shop with a ball end. And the blue delphinium is a little boutonniere that is made in Germany out of silk. My socks are the shadow stripes in navy and red, and I'm pairing them with mid-brown shoes in a suede. They're Capto Oxfords on a nice last by Yanko.